Good evening, everybody. All the Arba'a Banim, the 4 sons, are mentioned in the Torah. The famous 4 sons that we read in the Haggadah. And what is incredible is that the first son mentioned in the Torah, who do you think it is? Yes. Tammy knows everything. That's why she's a Talmidah Chachama.
It was a guess out of 525.
None other, and she's humble also. She doesn't share the information that she knows already. None other than the Rasha, the wicked one. Not the Chacham, not the wise, not the Tam, the simple, or Sheino Yodeh Lishon, not the one that doesn't know how to ask. The Rasha. Where is this? In Parashat Bo. Perek Yudbet, Pesukim, Kaf Hei, and Kaf Vav. Chapter 12, verses 25 and 26. והיה כי תבואו לארץ אשר ייתן השם לכם כאשר דיבר ושמרתם את העבודה הזאת. When you enter the land that God will give you, as promised, you shall observe this rite. והיה כי יאמרו עליכם וביניכם, מה העבודה הזאת לכם? Right, that's what we read at the Haggadah. And when your children ask you, what do you mean by this rite? What are you doing? I go now to the Haggadah, just so we should have a review. We'll read it next week. Exactly in a week from tonight. Yes, next week. At this time we'll be reading the Haggadah and we'll say, Rasha Ma'u Omer, the wicked son, what does he say? Ma ha'avodah zot lachem. The exact same thing. What's this right? What are you guys doing? What is this service to you? And what is the answer? What do we say to him? Now, I know you know the answer we give at the Haggadah. But I would like to analyze the answer that the Torah gives. So the Torah says, on Pasuk Kav Zayin, on verse 27, "V'amarten zevach Pesach hu laHashem, asher pasach al batei bnei Yisrael b'Mitzrayim, benokpo et Mitzrayim v'et batenu itzil, v'yikod ha'am v'shtachavu." You shall say, this is the answer. It is Passover, sacrifice to God, who passed over, that's why it's called Passover, the houses of the Jews in Egypt, when smiting the Egyptians, but saved our houses, those assembled and bowed low in homage. Pesach, that's the answer. Hashem passed over the houses of the Jews, and He saved us. And after that, the people bowed and prostrated themselves, they thanked Hashem. Now, what were they so thankful for? So Rashi says, Vayikod ha'am, the people bowed their head, al besorat ha'geula, number 1, in thanksgiving for the tidings of approaching deliverance. The Geulah, the redemption was coming. Uviat haaretz, finally they were going to go into the land of Israel. Ubesorat habanim sheyu lahem. And for the tidings regarding the children whom they would have. 3 things. Banim. Right. The children, the sons that they will have. So, I understand that they were very thankful about the Geulah. Finally, the redemption that they were waiting for so long. Bi'at haaretz, who wouldn't like to go to Israel? So they were so thankful. Finally, they will go into the land of Israel. But what's this? Besorat habanim sheyulu? I don't understand. The news of the children that will be born to them? What children are we talking about? And what does this have to do with the Geulah and Bi'at haaretz, redemption and coming to the land? Why were they so excited about the children? And what kind of children are we referring to? According to what I understand from the Haggadah, this verse is referring to children who may be Reshaim. Children who ask the same question as the Rasha. Wicked children. So over that you rejoice and bow? Over the fact that they will have children that are Reshaim? What is Rashi telling us here? Obviously Rashi is giving us a message. Now, what is the answer we give to the Rasha? "V'amartem zevach Pesach hu laHashem, asher pasach al batei bnei Yisrael b'Mitzrayim, v'nokpo et Mitzrayim v'et batenu itzil." So you shall say, it is Passover, sacrifice to Hashem, who passed over the house of the Israelim, the Jews in Egypt, when smiting the Egyptians, but saved our houses. Let's analyze for a second. The Rasha did not ask you for a drasha of history. What happened? He only asked, what is this service? And you don't answer him directly. You tell him, yes, it is called Zevach Pesach, Oh, and by the way, although you didn't ask, I will tell you the story of what happened. So my second question for tonight is, the answer doesn't appear to be a direct response to his question. Third question, and this question is even stronger. The answer we give in the Haggadah does not seem to match the answer the Torah tells us to give. Now we go to the Haggadah. What's the answer we give in the Haggadah? The Torah said, speak about Pesach, about Korban Pesach, and how Hashem passed over the houses and saved our houses, and He hit the Egyptians. Let's go to the Haggadah. In the Haggadah we read, Rasha ma omer, ma avodah zot lachem. Same question. The Rasha, the wicked son, says, what's this ritual that you're doing? What are you doing? Lachem velo lo. He said, you and not me. Ulefi sheotzi et atzmo min haklal kafar ba'ikar. And because he sets himself apart from the community, he denies the very core of our beliefs. Ve'af ata aked shinav ve'emor lo. And you must set his teeth on edge and tell him. In other words, break his teeth and tell him. Because of this, Hashem acted for me when I came out of Egypt. Li velo lo. For me and not for you. Ilu haya sham lo haya nigal. If you were there, you wouldn't have been redeemed. Apparently, there is no connection between the Torah's response and the Haggadah's response. The Torah says, speak about Pesach. What do we say? You are wicked. You excluded yourself, so I'm going to break your teeth. And if you would have been in Egypt, you would have never come out. Only for me, not for you. Why did we go away from what the Torah asked us to respond? And my fourth and last question, and this one is the strongest. What kind of response is this? What kind of answer is this? Is this how you speak to a son? Because of this, Hashem did for me, li velo lo. For me and not for him. Not for you. If you had been there, you wouldn't have been redeemed. Is that how you respond to your own son? Not even to a stranger will you respond like this. Let alone your own son. Okay, let it be. He's a Rasha. He's wicked. But he's your son. You finally convince him to come to your Pesach Seder. And this is what you tell him at the Seder? From a Kiruf and Chinuch perspective. A response like this to a Rasha son, to a wicked son, will guarantee that he never returns. Not to your Seder, and probably not to your home either. This is not education, and this is not how you bring people closer to Judaism. Is this the way to respond? You're trying to influence him or scare him away so he never speaks to you again. Morai Rabotai, ladies and gentlemen, we have been reading this Haggadah for years. I understand the Seder is long and you're tired and you don't want to ask too many questions. But I ask myself, how have people continued reading this without asking what's going on over here? What is this Haggadah saying? So you know everything works in the number 4, around the number 4 in the Haggadah. So I just made 4 questions. We asked 4 questions in Manishtana in the Haggadah. I asked 4 questions in one part of the Haggadah. My own 4 kashas, my own 4 questions. So let's sum up the 4 questions. Question number 1. What's Besorat Habanim Shiyu Lahem in Rashi? Question number 2. You're not answering the Rasha's question. He asked, what are you doing? And you give him a whole drasha, a whole story that seems unrelated. Question number 3. The Torah's answer to the Rasha doesn't match the Haggadah's answer. And question number 4. How dare you to speak like this to a son? When you have such strong questions, obviously you got to bring up a secret. And through revealing that secret, all of a sudden one diamond sets things on place, on the right place, and then everything makes sense. So thank God I have the master key, the secret, and that's the diamond that we want to reveal tonight. And we have to start by understanding what is the Torah's answer to the Rasha. And you shall say it is Passover, sacrifice to Hashem. What is the Torah telling us to say? Why are we telling him the Pesach story? We're telling him, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, to exclude yourself in the way that you're making it sound. Lachem, you're saying to you, meaning to us, while you're excluding yourself. Lachem, do you feel that you are not part of Klal Israel? That you're not part of this beautiful Jewish nation? So that's why you're being excluded? As if you were so distant from Yiddishkeit, from Judaism, Yahadut, that you exclude yourself and say, to you not including yourself. As if you are so far that you no longer consider yourself part of Am Yisrael. No, we cannot accept that. And we tell him, let's take a look. What happened in Egypt? Hashem passed over Pesach, the houses of the Jews in Egypt, and saved them. Who did Hashem save? He saved all the Jews. Do you know what level the Jews were at when they were in Egypt? When they left Egypt? They were at the 49th level of Tumah, impurity. They were in the lowest spiritual level possible. In fact, one of the reasons why we eat matzah is because they had to leave so quickly, because if they had stayed a bit longer, then they would have reached the 50th level of Tumah and they would have been lost forever. So we tell my son, you can't be worse than level 49 of impurity, of Tumah. And yet look at what Hashem did for us. Even though they were in such a low level, look what Hashem did for us. All the miracles. And He passed over the houses of the Jews, who in a sense were no better than the Egyptians. But because they were part of Am Yisrael and they were Jews, He still saved them. Because Hashem loves us and cares for us. And performs miracles for us. And most importantly, Hashem believes in us. He trusts that we can change and improve, that we can grow. And that's why we were saved. So how can you speak about yourself as lachem, excluding yourself? You're not worse than the Jews in Egypt. Very likely you're much better. You're not at the level 49 of impurity. So do not exclude yourself. Do not say you have no hope, that you're too far. There is no such a thing. Do not think like that. Do not speak like that. Look at the level we were at and how Hashem redeemed us. You're far from being lost. You cannot exclude yourself. You will always remain part of Am Yisrael. So stop excluding yourself and don't worry. Hashem will help you. Now with this understanding, I can answer the first two questions. Question number 2 was, what do we answer to the Rasha? The answer is that we tell him, do not exclude yourself, never. Because Hashem passed over us in Egypt, even though we were at a very low level. And you're not worse than that. And question number 1 was, what did Rashi mean with Ubesarat habanim shiyu lahem? And the people bowed for the news of the children that will be born to them. The answer is that Rashi is telling us, they bowed and they were thankful when they realized that all the children they would have, regardless of their spiritual level, Hashem would never stop loving them. And they would always have hope, always be able to change and grow, and never be lost. Just as Hashem showed us in Egypt that He passed over our homes, even at the level 49 of impurity. If we were in San Francisco, we'll say we were 49ers. Even at the level 49 of impurity, Hashem treats each child individually, like an only child, with love, compassion, and mercy. Personally and individually. No one can be lost. Even when they go far, they'll come back and Hashem will always love them and take care of them, and He'll even bring them back personally. So 2 questions I've answered already, but I'm still missing the answer to the strongest questions. How do we read the Haggadah? The Haggadah seems to be giving a completely different answer. And the answer we give to the Rasha, to the wicked son, seems to be totally inappropriate for what we try to accomplish with our Jewish children. And even more, after I explained to you what the Torah asked us to tell our wicked sons. So here's the gem that will blow you away. From San Diego to the rest of the world. We are called Padres for a reason. So I'm going to read the Haggadah in a way you have never heard before. And I'm going to read the exact same words you have been reading for years in your Haggadot, all these years, but slightly differently. I'm not changing the words, only the nigun, the tone, the intonation. And this is incredible. You can say the exact same words, but if you change the tone just a little, you can completely change the meaning, and it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what I'm going to do. Do you know what answer we give the Rasha in the Haggadah? Let's start from the beginning. Be'afata hake et shinaf. And you must set his teeth on edge. Smack him on the face. Break his teeth. What does hake et shinav mean? Break his face? It is not enough that your answer will guarantee that he will never want to come back to your table. You're also going to smash him on his face? You're going to beat him up? You're going to break his teeth? What kind of reaction is that? Since when are we so aggressive? Break his face? You know what hake et shinav means? Hake et shinav means break his way of speaking. Challenge him. Correct the way he speaks. And tell him, Lachem? Chaz v'shalom. God forbid, chaz v'shalom, that you should speak like that. Chaz v'shalom, that you should exclude yourself from Am Yisrael. And here comes the best part. You have never heard the Haggadah like this, and you will never see it the same way again. Look what we're telling him. And I'm going to give you a warning. This is a chidush. This is completely new for us. So as a rabbi, I got to give a chidush warning. This is my chidush warning. New way of reading the Haggadah. Everything said with the same words, but everything said with exclamation and with a question. Ve'emor lo. You say to him, you ask him with intensity. Ba'abur ze asa Hashem li b'tzatim miMitzrayim? Do you really think Hashem did all of this only for me when we left Egypt? Li velo lo? Do you think Hashem did this only for me and not for you? Not for someone distant? Do you think He didn't do it for you as well? Ilu haya sham lo haya nigal? Do you think that if you had been in Mitzrayim, you would not have come out with us? Of course you would have come out with us. Am Yisrael was in the 49th level of Tumah. You're not worse. Of course you would have left Egypt. So don't speak like that about yourself. Don't exclude yourself from Am Yisrael. You are not too far gone. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you. Come back. Make a small effort. Show a little interest. And Hashem will receive you with open arms. This is the pshat, Rabotai. This is the explanation. And with this, I answer my fourth question. How dare you to speak like that to a son? That's how you speak to a son. You give him encouragement and you make him feel good. You correct him by not feeling good enough about himself. By not feeling Jewish enough and connected enough to the Jewish nation. And you correct him by not making himself feel good enough about himself, and you make him feel good about himself. And something incredible comes out. The Haggadah is giving you the exact same answer as the Pasuk in the Torah. The same answer in the Haggadah that Hashem told us to give in the Chumash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves all His children. His compassion and passion are for all of us. Every single one of us. No one is excluded from Am Yisrael. And with this, I answer question number 3. Comes out that what the Torah told you to answer and what the Haggadah is saying is exactly the same answer. All problems solved? Checkmate. And now the THV, the take-home value lesson. My conclusion is that the great lesson for us is, you should know, I didn't just come tonight to give you a great explanation on a piece of the Haggadah, even though it is a gem. But if we truly understand the message that we're giving over tonight, There's no doubt that this is the most important part of the Haggadah, the 4 sons. This is a message that should go across the world, and that we should repeat it year after year to all future generations. A person must never think that he has gone too far. No Jew can ever be lost. And this message must be transmitted to all of Am Yisrael. We must understand and feel that every single one of us has a place in Hashem's table. And we have to convince everyone that it's time to come back. It's time to come back to Hashem's home, Hashem's table, which is obviously in Eretz Yisrael. Believe me, there's a place for everyone there. And this is what Hashem showed us in Yetziat Mitzrayim. V'amartem zevach Pesach hu Hashem. Pesach, Hashem passed over the houses of the Jews. He saved us. All of us. Every single one of us, regardless of our level of Tumah. Vayikol Am, Rashi said that Besorat Abanim Shiulem, we are all the children of Hashem. And we're thankful for that. We're thankful for the fact that Hashem loves us unconditionally. Like no one else in the world. That is what Pesach is about. Pesach is, we tell Hashem, let us celebrate that love. That no one, absolutely no one, can ever be excluded from Am Yisrael. A Jew can never be lost, for Hashem's love always finds him. And I would like to end this shiur with a personal story that happened to us just this past Sunday. This past Sunday, we went to the San Diego Zoo. They convinced me. They told me so many times, and they told our children so many times. Our little daughter, Leah Ahuba, she should live and be well. Every week, she would say, are we going to the zoo? Are we going to the zoo? Are we going to the zoo? And she was not in South Africa with us, so she has really never seen these animals before. So, Baruch Hashem, finally, last Sunday, we decided to go to the zoo. It was really nice. Beautiful zoo, definitely one of the best zoos in the United States. In the world, right. But, I gotta say, for someone who comes from South Africa, Kruger Park, and even Pilanesberg, I was a bit disappointed at the Big Five. I mean, the lion was verschluft. He was sleeping. I mean, he looked like an old lion, alte Kacke, they say in Yiddish. He didn't even have the strength to lift his tail. And then just one time, he got up for like a second, everyone took out their phones, and before you could even take a picture, he was back down, lying and schluffing. So we had a good time. We were looking at the animals, we were enjoying ourselves, and we were on our way out, ready to leave the zoo. And then after we crossed the last wall before leaving, I looked back and I realized that one of our children was missing. Yaakov. Don't laugh, listen, it's not bad. We still had 4 with us, you know? 1 out of 5 is not so bad. So I told the Rebbitzin, sweetie,
grab another child.
I told her, sweetie, Yaakov is not with us. So I said to her, please watch the rest of the children, and I'll run back to look for Yaakov. So I ran back into where we had been, and I went straight to the last animal we had been watching. And after shouting, Yaakov, Yaakov, I'm glad this was not in Israel. Otherwise, 50 kids will look at me and will say like, why are you screaming my name? You know, in San Diego, it is more likely if you scream Yaakov that you'll find the right one. And there he was. Yaakov going in circles, standing in the same spot where we had last been, looking around for us, his eyes red, crying. And he was just like that, crying, looking around and asking himself, Tati, my father, where are you? And when I finally saw him, I screamed, Yaakov, come over here. Tati's here. We're going back home. If this happened to me a week before Pesach, this Sunday, just before this year, obviously gave us a great lesson. Number one, make sure all your children are with you. And if it's necessary, take an umbrella like the tour guides to make sure that everyone follows you. And keep on counting. 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, we can continue. Lesson number 2. I saw how Yaakov's tears, my little dear Yaakov, how his tears of desperation and sadness turned into tears of joy because he saw me. Because he knew I have found him, and now he was going back home. And that's exactly what happens with us. If we cry to Hashem, if we keep asking, if we pour out our hearts with tears and we shout, Tati, Tati, Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven, where are you? We feel so lost in this terrible exile. We feel so far away. We just want to be with you. We want to come back home to Eretz Israel. So then Hashem will finally appear to us. He will take our hands and say, come, my son. I told you, no matter where you are, no matter where you're holding, you're always welcome back to my table. And then our tears of sadness and frustration can turn into tears of joy because we're going back home. Hashem is taking us back home. We're going back to Eretz Israel. Remember, a Jew can never be lost, for Hashem's love always finds them. That is the truth of Pesach. That is the message of the Haggadah, the strongest message in the Haggadah. No matter where we are, no matter how far we feel, Hashem's love never stops searching, never stops reaching, and there's always a place for every Jew at his table. Am Yisrael Chai. Last year, I finished my Pesach Seder in Mexico City saying, Leshana Haba B'Yerushalayim Havnuya. Maybe that was my kavanah somewhere because at the end of the day, Baruch Hashem, we're here.
You're a little bit further north.
We're getting closer. Now it's only one flight. Los Angeles, straight to Yerushalayim.
Not today.
So even after 4 cups of wine and some mezcal and tequila, and even though we were tired and we finished the Seder very late, I still remember the last line that I said last year. Leshana haba b'Yerushalayim havnuya. Next year in Yerushalayim, rebuilt. And tonight, here in San Diego, right before Pesach, I want to say, Leshana hazot b'Yerushalayim havnuya. This year, in Yerushalayim, rebuilt. So see you in Israel for Pesach. Chag kasher v'sameach. Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening.
Wow.